Welcome back to K-Chat with me, your host, Kayla Morales. We chat all things from love to life to spirituality, health and wellness, and everything in between. This is a space of growth and meaningful connection, and I am so excited to share this episode with you all, so let's get to chatting. This episode is a solo episode with none other than me, your girl. I have been talking about doing a solo episode and thinking about it for a while, and I thought, why not do it for the new year? So here we are. To tell you all a little bit about myself, for those of you who do not know, I am an actress, I am a model, I am a teaching artist, and obviously now a podcast host. But today I really wanted to talk about overcoming fear and and maybe a little about anxiety. I will do another episode more about like mental health and anxiety and medications and what that looks like for me. But for today I'm just talking about like overcoming fear and getting through that. So let's get into it. Let's get to chatting. Happy New Year, first of all. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope it was fabulous. I fell asleep at like 10 o'clock. I could not. But I'm excited for the new year, you know? Did my goals, did my boards, did my things. My word for the year is fierce, because I want to attack my goals and everything just fiercely. Like I want to go hard this year. And my favorite little quote right now is, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so, I mean, I apply it to literally everything. The other night I went to bed, I brushed my teeth, I did everything. And as I was in bed, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to do my tongue scraper. Like, well, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Got to get back up and do it again. Like, get it done. I just want to be very intentional about everything I do this year, and I want to try my hardest. And that goes down to the smallest tasks up to the very biggest goals and dreams, because truly the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So think about that. Ponder that thought. Okay, so fear. What does fear look like? How does it feel for me? How do I get through it? Well, fear for me, two things. I do deal and struggle with anxiety. So I have that aspect of things where some of my fears are really to other people irrational. And that could look like me not going out because I'm scared someone's out to kill me, or like, I mean, it gets even darker than that. It gets really extreme sometimes. But again, that's going to be for another video. But fear looks like, for me, I feel it in my stomach, and I also sweat a lot when I'm fearful or nervous. And the times where fear was really prominent for me is probably with acting. Public speaking is not something I enjoy doing. I don't really consider myself super outgoing, which I understand. If you look at like my resume or anything, you'd be like, what are you talking about? You must be outgoing. But I think I balance out both pretty well. But anyway, acting for me when I started was really scary. Definitely one of my biggest dreams and goals, and it wasn't something I was super experienced in to begin with. So when I did start, which was in college, I was shy and nervous. And I remember my first audition, I had the script to my face. For those of you watching the video, I had the script to my face, like so close to my face, and I was like on the stage with someone else, like trying to read lines and finish a scene with them, but I was like profusely sweating everywhere. And man, I just remember thinking, this is a disaster. But when I was done, I was so proud of myself. And that's kind of how I push through fear. I just try to get it done. I just try to and I just try to like keep in mind what my goal is and evaluate the situation, and if it's not an actual dangerous situation, I go full force. I don't think twice about it. That's just kind of how I deal with that. I was watching a TED Talk with Trever Ragan. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I will link it in the show notes. But he was quoting Seth Godin. He was quoting Seth Godin, and he was talking about the lizard brain. And basically, the lizard brain is the part of our brain that reacts to fearful situations. And fearful situations come up when there's uncertainty. Anytime you might be drawing attention to yourself, change, or struggle. So anytime those four things are present, your lizard brain is evaluating the situation and reacting usually like out of fear. So for example, when you're in a classroom and everyone's sharing and discussing and you're too scared to discuss, that's your lizard brain being like, okay, no, we don't want this attention. Like, we're not prepared for this. We're not smart enough, or, it's your lizard brain telling you all of those things. Sure, our lizard brain is there to keep us safe in dangerous moments. So it's valuable in that way, but the lizard brain, and this is the way they explain it, I'm definitely not an expert on this, but the way they explain it is the lizard brain doesn't really have all of the information. So it goes off of, it's kind of like black and white, and it doesn't have all the colors to paint the picture, right? So it only has a few things that it's going off of, and that's how it's gonna react. So a very small thing like, I don't know, being in the shower and being scared. No one's in the bathroom. No one's in the apartment maybe, or the house, but you're still scared. That's your lizard brain just being a little irrational. I kind of think about it as like a little kid who is just like, is there and just doesn't have all the information. So sometimes it's just a little more scared than it needs to be. Like when a kid's scared of like a spider, and it's like, well, sure, they might be a little scary, but it really can't harm you. So that's the way I think about the lizard brain. And so basically what they were saying during this, or what he was saying during this TED Talk, was that fear is not something you can get rid of. It's more something you kind of like start to live with. And a quote that he said was, "Fear in the right moments can be used as a compass, pushing us past our comfort zones." And that really resonated with me, because in my life, I've used fear as a compass really to push me towards my goals. So I moved when I was 17 from Florida to California, or maybe I was 18, by myself. I didn't know anyone here, which that could be a very fearful situation. But for me, I just kind of pushed past that. Yeah, it was scary, but I just kind of kept moving along. And then I built community and friends, and it ended up fine. So I think fear comes up a lot of times right before you're on the brink of something major. And you kind of have to evaluate it and ask yourself, like, is this something I should really be fearful of right now? Or is it just my lizard brain overreacting and I can actually push through this? One way that my fear, or this is, I guess fear and anxiety aren't super separate, but I kind of separate them in my mind. But something I've been struggling with is with my anxiety. I'll get really fearful during my spin classes. So I love spinning, like have gone multiple times a week for the last 3 years. I love it. But it is kind of like a club in that it has strobe lights and loud music, and there will be times where I start to panic, even though I know I'm safe. I know I've been to this specific class for years now. I know most people there, and it's a very safe situation, but my lizard brain is saying, oh my gosh, too many things are happening right now. Our body is struggling, right? Because of the physical exertion. And my lizard brain starts to freak out. The way I deal with that is I personally talk to myself. Like, I'm just like, okay, Kayla, you're safe right now. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Calm down. Like, sometimes I'll do, see 5 things, smell 5 things, if I remember. But usually I'm just trying to calm myself down. I usually just tell myself, like, you're safe. It's okay. Like, it's okay. I honestly treat that part of myself like a child, and that's just what works for me. Let's talk about how do performers deal with stage fright. So, another way that I really pushed through fear was through acting. It wasn't one of the things it was always something I wanted to do, but it wasn't one of the things that felt easy for me to do. It was very, very, very scary, which I'm sure a lot of people could agree. Anytime you're like publicly speaking or performing, it's scary. And so before a show, I usually am not really talking. If this is a live show, I'm not really talking to a lot of people. I'm kind of like in my zone. I'll talk, but I'm not the one starting the conversations. It's usually like people talking to me. But I prefer to, just like kind of be chilling. And I'm freaking out internally. I'm nauseous. I'm sweaty. I'm nervous. I'm running my lines over and over and over and over and over in my head. And then when you get on stage, there's like 2 minutes of that continue. And then after those 2 minutes, you're good. You're like in flow and you're just going. But then there's times while I'm on stage and the fear pops up again in my head. And those are the times that, I don't know about anyone else, but those are the times I mess up. Those are the times I jump a line or something, or I have even skipped like monologues. So it's really just about staying present in the moment and pushing through the fear, not even giving the fear the attention that will encourage it to grow. I find that the more you feed fear, the more fearful you become. So that's kind of like my way of getting around that, is just pushing through and really kind of ignoring it. As far as that goes for performance. Any other time I like to acknowledge it. I like to figure out what's going on, especially like when it's like something I love during spin class or something like that. I try to be a little more curious about my fear. There's other times where it's like, I don't have time for you right now. Like I have to perform. I have to push through. And there's other actors I've worked with that deal with fear differently or experience fear coming up differently while they're performing. I know some people have bowel movements. I know I pee a lot personally before a show. I'm like running to the bathroom all the time just because I like need something to do to keep my nerves down. I had someone ask me to slap them one time before a show because they were so nervous. Like everyone does something a little different to get through their fears, but I think the key thing here is to use your fear as a compass and allow it to just guide you. It doesn't need to be the setting force in whether or not you do something. You are the one that's in control. You're the one with the power. You can decide if you can still do something. Just use it as a little guide. So the more I continued acting, the easier it's gotten. It's not that the fear has completely gone away, and that's the other thing that they were mentioning in the TED Talk. Like, fear doesn't go away. It's part of our survival. It's part of like what we need to function. But it gets better. At least for me, it did. I just as I keep acting, as I go on auditions used to be so hard for me until like I really educated myself, took a class, and continued auditioning, that it became something that I like enjoy. And it's like, yeah, I get nervous, but now I know how to calm myself quickly in the room so that I can perform to the best of my ability. And that's really what it's about. It's about like just gaining control over your fear so that it doesn't control you. And yeah, this is a really short and sweet episode, but there's really not much to it. That's overcoming fear is really just learning to dance with your fear and learning to jive with it, you know, and find out what works for you as far as like coping with it. For me, it's talking to myself and calming myself as if I were a child. To you, it might be something else, or you might be the person that needs the slap before the show. I don't know, but yeah. So I hope this was helpful. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. I am having an episode next week with Jessica Vandenbosch and Christian Linfors. We will be talking about local farming and how they run their business. So I'm super excited about that episode and to bring that information to myself, but to you guys as well. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely, lovely, lovely week. And thank you so much. Bye.